Well, there will be so much wrong here, Chamberlain, because it's their fundamental right. They are in the Senate, and all of us in the Senate are there on the basis of so many legal provisions. So you can't isolate one person simply because that will amount to discrimination. So the point here is to appeal to those individuals. Is their state problem, and the citizens from those states, they have every right to call on them as their leaders and to say that, look, this is the situation in our state. We want you to consider this and that. And if that is done, I think that will be kudos to those people who are affected. But for us in the Senate here to come in and say because you were a former governor, you were this, we need to do this, I think we don't even have that power. Remember, our emoluments are fixed by another agency, which is the Revenue Mobilization Fiscal Allocation Commission. So I don't think we have such powers, and to my mind, it is not in order.
But do the laws of the land allow a public servant to earn double emoluments from two public offices at the same time? Is it allowed?
Well, I think if you look at it, you said emolument. You wanted to, I'm sure you wanted to say salary, but you know the implication of saying salary, because they are not taking salary. You call it emolument. Emolument is a wider thing. Pension is part of emolument. Severance, gratuity or severance package and all these things. So they are not taking, it's salary, but they are not taking salary.
Pensions, gratuity, severance.
Yeah, they are all emoluments.
They are all emoluments.
Yes, so the point is that here they are not taking salary. In the National Assembly, they are taking salary, but what they are taking from wherever they are is pension or what do they call it? Gratuity. Gratuity is usually paid once.
So that talk about double emolument is actually quite correct.
No, well, to my mind, double emolument, yeah, of course they are taking pension. And so many people are receiving double emolument.
So do you think it would be right, for instance, if a senator, gets severance package because, the 7th Senate, for instance, ended and then he's re-elected. Should he really get a severance package? Is it when he's coming back into the Senate?
Well, you see, the issue is at the time in which, a senator is going for election, nobody is even sure whether he's going to win. So I think that is the point you need to look at. So and in every is a process, and the way the legislature works is that every assembly has its own life. It comes on board and it terminates.
So in the event that senator actually is re-elected, shouldn't they return the severance package because they really haven't been severed from the Senate?
Well, I think these are new issues that can be considered by maybe perhaps the revenue mobilization. But for now, what it is based on the legal provision is what is happening. So if the revenue mobilization feels otherwise, they have right to look at that.
It's not something that the senators are going to be raising by themselves.
Well, right now, we don't even raise any issues having to do with our salary. So it's not within our realm to raise that. But if the revenue mobilization feels okay by that, fine.
Senator, this is a matter in public interest. I
mean, yeah, I know it's a matter of public interest.
If the senators say that this is not within our realm, isn't that just, speaking tongue-in-cheek?
No, we are not speaking tongue-in-cheek because, you see, we are not allowed to fix our salary.
Agreed.
So if that is it, and remember, these are all issues having to do with emolument. And to my mind, when these issues are being brought on board, a lot of things are being considered. And so new realities dictate new thinking and new issues. I agree with that. Life is dynamic. I don't think there is anything that is static. But the point is that the way it is right now, there is nothing wrong with it because it is within what the extant rules and regulations have provided. And I think that is the point I want to, bring on board. And if at the end of the day, there are issues, we agree. Right now, if you look at our legislative agenda, we have agreed that we need to continuously look at issues that require legislative intervention in the public interest. And where we have, such opportunities and we feel it is right, why not?
Well, Senator, you keep saying that there's nothing wrong with it, but we didn't say there's anything legally wrong as of yet. But part of the things we raise now is that we've seen several governors say, look, I'm slashing my salary by 50%. Some say by 30%. It means that governors who are not in Senate now, they already recognize that there's a challenge. Some of them, many of them can't pay salaries. And so saying nothing wrong with it leaves a big question mark. Yes, but we've also seen several pensioners in this country who legal pensions,
that is true, Chambali,
they don't receive it as of yet. So shouldn't we then say...
How much is the salary that the person is slashing? What will it achieve?
No, but
I think, to my mind, what is important is we should look at the issues of good governance. If the person who is in
what is
charge
good governance if people can't get their salary?
Tries to cut down costs in certain areas where he knows. Yeah, of course, they can't get their salary, but the reality is that I'm saying a governor cutting his salary by half will not change the narrative of not being able to pay salary, because half of his salary cannot pay 10 workers.
No, that tells you that there's something wrong in the system.
So I think the point is for us
Senator,
to begin to
that says that there's something wrong, doesn't it?
Wrong in what respect now?
To the sense that they already know that since their states, many of them can't get salaries, they volunteer to make that sacrifice. So haven't seen many governors say that. Can the National Assembly then say, well, there appears to be something really wrong. So can they then initiate that move to the Revenue Committee to look at the emoluments? Because after all, the president, I think in the first media chat, did suggest it, but the National Assembly says no, it's up to the Revenue Commission to do that.
Yeah, and that is our position. Because you see, the issue is even very simple. My salary is being shared with my constituents, and that is the position of every politician. Because whatever you do, you get, it's like a kind of, we are the social safety net, where people come in, I have this problem of health, my child is driven out of school, I'm not able to pay my bill, I'm indebted, somebody is taking me to court, the list goes on. And so, as far as I'm concerned, like I said earlier, let's look at these issues very critically. If we are looking at good governance, if we are looking at all those areas where we unnecessarily inflate cost, if we are looking at all those areas where we carry out activities that do not add value to our people, I think we'll be doing far more than talking about cutting salary, because those are the areas where we waste money and we are not adding value. The basic necessities of life, up to this very moment, people are asking for borehole. Up to this very moment, people don't have bridges across just small streams. Up to this very moment, we have schools that are not having anything to teach our children. These are the fundamental things. And if we can focus our mind on how these things are done properly, I think the aspect of salary will be secondary. But right now, the situation is such that if we have to bring in the aspect of salary and put forward, then we will be driving down those areas of leakages in governance that is actually denying our people what true dividends of democracy should be.
But that then brings us to the matter of constituency projects, because if you look at some of the things that you've enumerated you do with your salaries and this backlog of pensions that still accrue to some senators, people will say, but why are you still getting constituency allowance or constituency projects allocated to you from the national budget? And in only recent times we've seen this scandal that has trailed the House of Representatives, to be more precise, in terms of padding and all whatnot as concerns the constituency projects.
Well, the issue is, I don't think the issue of padding was on the constituency project. The constituency project came with the budget submitted by Mr. President. I think Nigerians must know this. And it is an amount that is allocated for you to now identify projects that are need-based. And if you look at it, to my mind, there is nothing wrong in having such an arrangement, because the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is very clear that in everything we do, we must attract national loyalty, ensure inclusiveness, such that no constituent parts of this country should feel that there is no government presence. And if you look at the way the budgeting is done, I was in the executive, I was a public servant myself. I worked in the ministry and a parastatal. And if you look at it, there is no way those who are working in these locations will be able to identify all the needs across the entire spectrum of this country. Now, with the instrument of this constituency project, it now becomes possible and easier for legislators to identify issues that are identified as problems in their constituency. The question here is, yes, this thing has been implemented over time, and we need to look at it, and I want to assure you that the idea of looking at how these things are implemented is a welcome development, so that at the end, if you say you are going to do borehole, let these boreholes be there. If you say, whatever you say you are going to do, let it be done.
Nyota has a question for you.
Senator Abdullahi, let me just take you back to that matter of double emolument, just if you don't mind. The Code of Conduct Bureau, Section 2A, says that a public officer shall not receive or be paid the emoluments of any public office at the same time as he receives or is paid emoluments of any other public office. B, except where he is not employed on a full-time basis. Now, put that on one side and consider this. The Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Commission already stipulates that 300% of whatever a public servant's earning, especially governors, for instance, when he's leaving, that is given to him or her as a severance package. So he gets that and still comes in to get their pension, as some of them have signed, and then still gets the salary as a member of the National Assembly or as a minister. And you say there's nothing wrong with that. Is that not breaching the law? But you can answer that question when we come back from this break, please.